All right, we're live, and today we have an amazing guest. Everyone, Mia uh, is uh, is here today to talk about matchmaking and to talk about matchmaking business and to talk about her clients and how she works with Smart Match. There's a lot of topics to uncover. I'm the CEO of SmartMatchApp. We help matchmakers all around the world to connect and match singles. And also, we work with communities and membership organizations who are trying to connect their members for a purpose, from business to social to peer support, all over the matchmaking is a growing industry, and we love to interview our clients. So, Mia, and now on to Mia. Mia is the VP of Global Operations of Maclynn International. It's a global high-end matchmaking firm servicing clients first of all, in London, UK, in New York, and globally. And Mia will tell us a little more what interesting international matchmaking stories they have, because I'm pretty sure it's not focused on just one or two countries. So, Mia, very happy to have you here. You have been a client of ours for how many years now?
I think, I think it was 2017 that we started initially with you. So hi, Tim. Obviously, it's really good to be here. And yeah, I think it's been 8 years since we first spoke, and that's when Smart Match started, I think, right? And
Yes.
we joined you, I think, in two phases. We initially rolled out Smart Match in the US, and then we moved the rest of the world over onto Smart Match in I want to say 2019 and 2018, 2019. So that was a lot of work but and a lot of stress at the time, but definitely been totally worth it. So thanks for the introduction. As you said, I'm based here in London. This is where our head office is. This is where we first started. We do have team on the ground, matchmakers on the ground, offices in New York, in LA. We've got someone based in New Jersey. We have got someone recently, a matchmaker taken on in DC as well. But we do matchmake globally, like you said. We've got clients as far as Australia, so you can't really get further further than that.
Australia.
Yes.
Okay. You see, guys, what I mean? Global. And successful people tend to travel a lot, right? So for business, for pleasure. And obviously, if they're single, they're always looking for that kind of a companionship partner to share both, to share the success, to share the pleasure, and maybe even business. A lot of successful couples do business or do business together, right? It's not uncommon.
That's true. I think as well, what you find with a lot of the more international cosmopolitan clients that we work with, that they are just all over. You know, they're traveling all the time. They will often have multiple homes. They'll be in London this week, New York the next week, Dubai after that. So we will help them really search wherever they want us to. I mean, we're obviously within reason. Like, I think that long distance dating is obviously possible, and we've had lots of long distance success stories. But obviously, if someone's already got a base there or they're traveling there regularly, it does make it easier. And already having that network there in place allows us to be able to do that. So we can work with those clients that have got those more broader searches.
You have been obviously in matchmaking business longer than me. It's clear. In matchmaking industry. Um, let's talk a little bit about you. So, how did you personally get, if you don't mind,
Of
right?
course.
This is not always scripted, guys. Okay, so um, how did you personally get into matchmaking business? And then we'll go into the Maclynn International as a company and talk about stuff.
So it's a good question, and it's quite a funny story, really. I think, like most people, I did stumble into the industry. Before matchmaking, I worked for a large corporate that had a private members club, and I was the membership director there. And this corporate used to sponsor a, a race at Ascot. I don't know if you know what Ascot is. It's a prestigious race. What do you call it? Like a race course just outside of London. And I was presenting the trophy to the jockeys on one of the race days for this race that we sponsored. And I had, we had a box as part of that. And I'd invited like 10 guests and people that I knew. And obviously I invited them all with a plus one. And one of the girls that came to that was someone that I knew through my work, and she was an ambassador for me at the time at this private members club, and used to refer really great people to us. And she brought Rachel because who's the founder and the CEO of Maclynn, because she was also working with Rachel as an ambassador for her. So that's how I met Rachel, completely unexpected, and we got on. The Maclynn, or Vida as it was known back then, was still really young. I think it was, I don't think it was even 6 months. So it was still super small. It was Rachel on her laptop, and she had a few bits of freelancers here and there. And we got on really well. I was really fascinated by the industry. I loved her passion. I loved her vision. And I really liked what she stood for. She's a chartered psychologist here in the UK. And that was it, really. I would say that, I didn't leave my career instantly or anything, but we stayed in contact, and we'd meet up for occasional lunch or dinner. And I've always remained interested and fascinated in what she was doing. And then I did leave the corporate world, and actually I was doing quite a lot of business consultancy. I'd always really liked working with small business owners and entrepreneurs. And in my role at the membership club, I used to do quite a bit of marketing and strategy and things like that. So that's what I really enjoyed. And I was doing that for a year, just working for myself, and bumped into Rachel again, and we got talking, and she asked if I would help a little bit at Maclynn, doing initially just some membership onboarding. So it was a slow sort of relationship build up. And I initially started doing maybe like a day or 2 days a week. The team was super small then. I think there was 3 employees. So the business was 3 years old. So I think, yeah, there's a team of three, I think, including Rachel, actually. So it was really, really little. But and slowly then, over the number of years, I got more and more involved, and started to get rid of the other clients that I was working with outside of Maclynn. And then I was fully immersed in Maclynn, and I got involved in, we were doing different events then, and the membership onboarding. And then I started matchmaking. And then I really saw so much potential in the business, and I wanted to grow, and so did Rachel. So that's when we looked at expanding into the US, which was in 2017. So I've been doing this. This is now my 11th year. So quite a long time. Yes. Quite a long time. And we've grown quite substantially in that time. I think we're now a team of probably around 25 globally. Lose track sometimes. But it's been an incredible journey, obviously, to get here. It's not been easy. It's been stressful, but it's been also super fun. And I'm really grateful to be in this position.
I think, oh, so much to unpack here. Well, first, I want to say about stress. Okay, it's part of it. I don't pay attention to it anymore. I'm like, if I wake up in the morning and I expect, if I expect the stress to be part of it, so that helps a lot. And another interesting thing is that you have been a small business consultant and then covering all the areas. I also did similar. I was business sales and market, especially sales and business development consultant for small businesses, and then eventually gave that up as well and went on to building my own business. Primarily, I still do kind of coaching and mentorship to entrepreneurs that I don't charge. It's more of a pay forward type of activity, just to have one. Yeah, I don't ever charge for this. But I remember those days when I was consulting and helping the business owner. So there's so much similarity there, in that sense. Um, Let's talk about. So you were doing some matchmaking, and then eventually you completely focused on operations, marketing, right?
Exactly. So it was sort of a natural transition, really. So I was matchmaking a little bit, and then when we really started to grow, actually, I then spent my time thinking about recruiting matchmakers, training them. So then they were matchmaking the clients, and I was managing the matchmakers. And then the matchmaking team started to get bigger, and then we started opening in the US as well. And then obviously I was still overseeing all the marketing and the advertising and SEO and all that fun stuff too, as well as obviously when you're operating and we do have businesses formed, here in the UK and the US, and you're dealing with all the contracts and the lawyers and all the fun stuff. It became too much, so we then we promoted one of our matchmakers to become the head matchmaker in here in London, and then I sort of stepped away a little bit from doing the direct management there. But obviously, I'm still with the team on a day-to-day basis. I still talk to matchmakers every single day, and I still am a lot more involved with the US matchmakers too.
So obviously, there are people in your team who are better at matchmaking than you,
Definitely.
and there are probably nobody in the team who is better at operations and scaling the company than you. That's what I got from this conversation, and that's a good lesson for other matchmakers. And we have a lot of clients, and some of them are bigger, some of them are more boutique, smaller, growing. And I guess it's a good lesson for everyone in the business to just think about: can you do it all yourself? Can you and should you do it all yourself? You got to deal with technology, you got to deal with marketing, search engine optimization, and the list goes on and on. So you are doing it right, guys. In your firm, you figured. Rachel is obviously, uh, seems to me, natural psychology background, right? So you guys do coaching. So I guess she's active in that area
And she
more.
still works with clients as well. And I think that if I sort of look back, originally, Rachel and I probably did a lot of the same things in the business. So we were potentially doubling up, but also because we were going through such large periods of growth, we really bounced those ideas off each other and spent lots of time thinking about things, dealing with the problems to get together. Like you said, there's always stresses and there were a lot of problems. And we really had to be in contact. It felt like all day every day, and we knew exactly what each of us was doing every single minute. And then I think you hit a tipping point and things start to get calmer and we get more experienced at what we're doing, and roles sort of start to develop. And essentially what has happened over the time is Rachel still obviously takes the lead on she's the CEO, and she still takes the lead on a lot of the day-to-day matchmaking side. She manages the head matchmaker in London, and then I manage all the operational side, and then I also manage all our membership team. So the team that does all the onboarding of our new clients, the marketing, advertising, we do a lot of partnerships. Someone dedicated in that role too, and we run a big ambassador program as well. So I have to gravitated towards that, and then also a lot of the day-to-days of running a business, dealing with the accountants, dealing with getting tax forms sent off, and there is a lot of forms to fill in.
It's a
Yeah,
never-ending story, and
never
that
ending.
it's a
So
it's a very time consuming too, energy consuming, because those are critical business questions to answer.
absolutely, absolutely. So yes, and then
I would
obviously
like.
also all the hiring, like pretty much. I think I've been involved in the hiring of every single person that we've got in the business now, pretty much. So that's also been that takes a lot of time. And again, I used to do a lot of the training. There's so many now that I don't do as much of the training, but I still oversee a lot of that. And again, that takes time because you have, when you're hiring, you have some great people that join the team, and then some that doesn't quite work out for whatever reason. But we're really lucky that we have such a fantastic team.
And I'm gonna use this opportunity because matchmakers are watching the show, the podcast. We send out the announcement to everyone. So I guess it's a good time to say that if you are a matchmaker and you're looking to partnership maybe with Maclynn International in one of the countries they're working with, probably Mia, not probably, it's obvious to me, Mia is, you should, and you can get the contact info. It will be down in description, and at the end Mia is probably, I'm gonna ask her how to contact her, all that. But it would be a good opportunity for you to, am I right? It would be a good opportunity to reach to me.
Absolutely.
You're hiring actively, and you have this very strong
I'm
model.
always exactly, like I'm always in the US especially, I'm always open to uh, expanding the team there. We do partner with other agencies there globally. Like you said, we collaborate a lot with agencies. I think that's become more and more common in our industry. We're always happy to do that. It's nice to work with matchmakers across the globe. And because of the nature of our clients specifically, we will partner with agencies anywhere and everywhere, because the likelihood is at some point we will have a client there, or we'll have a client that's searching in that location.
Again, Matchmakers Alliance is a great place, Facebook, to go to. I recommend every matchmaker who is watching this to go collaborate with Mia and hundreds of other matchmakers. Actually, I think it's a good idea. Once you have the trust, and the matchmaker is professional, established, certified, trained, that you can tap into each other's knowledge and databases, right? I mean, you cannot possibly have everyone in your database, so it's nice to extend that. Let's let's dive into some cool stuff. Not that this, what we just discussed was not cool. It was amazing. It's nice to hear those personal stories always for me, like how you build the humble beginnings. We all have them, and it's amazing to just kind of go back in time and just to review this and say, hey, you know what? Um, so, in terms of matchmaking, what kind of clients do you work with? What typical problems do you solve for them? I imagine those are successful professional people, but I would like you to kind of maybe give us a little bit more of a perspective. Who are your clients? Because this show somehow YouTube feeds it to also to his singles, who are like on YouTube or on Instagram. It just serves them. We already know that. So maybe someone will, get you this video in front of them, so they may say, "Oh, that's me." So the more precise you are, what clients do you work with? Where are they located? What problems are you solving?
It's a good question. So the the majority of our clients tend to be successful individuals, quite cosmopolitan. We do work for local searches in London, New York, and LA. So if someone's based in London, New York, or LA, and they want to meet someone locally, that is fine. But if they're outside of those areas, or even if they're in those areas, and are more cosmopolitan, we will do a broader search. So that might be a London, New York search. It might be a full global search. It might be London and Dubai. Might be mainland Europe. It depends on the client and also the reality of their lifestyle and what they do for a living and what their future looks like, and so on. I think the question about what problem we solve is an interesting one, because I think there's probably two sides to that question. So there is the reality of what is the problem the client thinks we're solving. And then I think there's a different question of what is the problem that we're actually solving. So,
Brilliant. I
yeah.
love to hear the two stories. It's brilliant. It's true. It's like when you work with business owner, like, you've been doing consultant or you're solving a marketing problem. Same two sides, So it's not different, right? In a dating world either. So let's start with the first one. Let's start. I can't wait to hear this. So
So I think that when they come in and you're sat in front of a client, they will, in the main, majority say the same thing: is I just need to be introduced to the right person. So they are generally walking in and they like the psychology element. They might have liked the website. They might have liked the look of the brand, the colors, whatever it is. But the main reason they sit there is they'll just go, I just need to meet the right person. And if you introduce me to them, that will be it. The reality is that what we see as the problem is part of that. They're right. They need to be put in front of the right person. And that is one area that we excel in. We've got a network of 25,000 people globally. That's always growing. And we have access to, must be hundreds of thousands more people between our collaborations and partnerships and ambassador programs and headhunters and all this. Um, but what we then do with our clients is we put them through a proven 5-step math making methodology, essentially. So when we're working with them, we initially will start off getting to know them. So the first step is just knowing yourself, which sounds quite simple. And some people come into this process and do really know themselves and maybe have even done work by themselves, might have had a therapist or a coach, or they've just done lots of reading. But we want to really understand people's unique principles, and everything about them and what makes them tick. So we will understand things about their background, their career, education, family background, their family values, their physical environment, what they like to spend money on, hobbies, interests, religion, spirituality, all these things. That gives us a very clear idea of who they are and also what their key values are. Then we move into defining their ideal match. And I think that this is where, when some people first come to us, they might have been making mistakes is probably too strong a word, but they may have not thought about this enough and not really thought about who they should be looking for. So a lot of people will say, I go on I go lots of dates and I meet lots of people. I'm not meeting the right people. And I do often think that they are possibly looking for the wrong person to date because they've created this checklist in their head. They're going, okay, this is the kind of person I should be looking for because this is who I think I should be with. But actually, they're already digging in the wrong mine. Like, the person that they think they should be with is not necessarily the attributes that they are describing. So they will not realize how many subconscious biases they might be applying there, or attributing the wrong values. That's another common thing that we see where people go, yeah, I definitely know I want to meet someone with similar values. And that's great, right? Because that's what makes relationships last the test of time, is the values. Uh, but I think that people often will mislabel the values. So they will go, okay, I want, for example, someone successful. And you go, okay, well, what does that mean? Okay, does that mean that you're measuring them based on their wealth? And actually, if you drill down, it's like they want someone driven, not necessarily someone who's successful right now. Because I say, okay, well, would you be happy with someone who's successful, like they're wealthy, but they've not done anything to accumulate that wealth? And it's like, oh no, that's not what I want. So it's like, okay, so you're attributing the wrong value. So you're looking for the wrong thing of the off. So if you're looking for someone who's driven, how are you going to identify that someone is driven? And what ways can that manifest in their day-to-day life? And how do you measure it? Because what is driven for someone, for one person, might be different for someone else. So that's where I think there's a lot of subjectivity and objectivity that goes on in dating. And I often give the example of saying, if you on online dating and you come across a profile and says they're adventurous, like, one person's definition of adventure is jumping out of a plane, and the other's definition is trying a new restaurant every week. And you know what? They're both right. They're both adventurous, but that they are not going to be aligned based on their adventurous spirit, because their adventurous spirit is so different, but they're using the same terminology to describe themselves. And I think that's where it's quite difficult in online dating context. And that's where obviously matchmakers can take that subjectivity away and go, okay, that this is how this person behaves in terms of, their adventurous spirit, and this is how this other person behaves. So yeah, so the second step is identifying the match and really just thinking about what values align with them and what traits that person should have. Then we move into visualizing the relationship. So I actually think this is a step that a lot of people miss when they're doing online dating or offline dating. Just when they're not working with a matchmaker, they don't think about that enough. And I think this is where like timelines really come into place too. So on paper, and in reality, I could meet two people that are extremely compatible. Like, their values are aligned, their life goals are aligned, but actually their timelines are very different. And this can be can be very true. Think at quite distinct areas of life, like when you're wanting to have a family, or maybe when you're looking at retirement. I think those two conversations then that's a very different life, right? So two people could be completely compatible, where they're looking to get married and have a family, but one of them wants to do it in 10 years and wants to do it in 2 years. That's too big a difference for someone, and especially depending on the age of the person too. So visualizing the relationship and the timelines is important. And then the other thing about visualizing the relationship, and arguably even more important than the timeline, is just really thinking about what your day-to-day life will be. And that can be really hard when you haven't met the person. It's much easier to visualize your life when you know the person that you're going to be with, right? And of course you're building that life together. But there are, of course, some things that you would know that are definitely going to be in your life or definitely not going to be in your life. So, and I will tend to give clients extreme examples of that, and I'll say to them things like, okay, let's imagine 3 years from now we're meeting up for a coffee, and you've been happily in a relationship for the last 2 years. Um, where are you living? Is there a chance that you're living off grid in the middle of nowhere? And a lot of the time they will laugh and just say, definitely not. But they will know, like, okay, well, do you think you're likely going to still be in London or in New York or in a city? Do you think you're more likely to be living in the countryside and having that mix of life? And so a lot of them will have very clear ideas of that, and they'll say, look, I'm in a city now, but actually a lot of my values, a lot of the things I enjoy doing are not city life. So I see myself, moving away into the suburbs more. And then those are things that become very important as well with what we're looking for. People's attitudes around dynamics and raising children as well becomes important. And I think that that's where, again, having these conversations up front become really important when we're doing the matchmaking process. And then the fourth step that we go through is then creating a plan and putting it into motion. So once we have the clarity of who our client is, what they're looking for, the relationship that they visualize, we then need to go and find that person. And this is obviously where the matchmakers then come in, and we obviously have other clients that we might introduce them to. We have our own database, so our community of members who we will tap into. We have our team of ambassadors who are people that refer. They have single networks, and our ambassadors have very different profiles. So, there could be someone that's like super into the art world. It could be someone who's got a very specific nationality of friends or age range of friends group, and or they've worked in a specific industry and have lots of connections in that industry. They just tend to be natural connectors, really, as people. So we have our ambassador program. We obviously collaborate with other agencies as well, and then all of us headhunt. Like, it's part of our day-to-day life. We're going to events all the time. We're always on the lookout for good singles. We do a lot of partnerships, especially in the key cities that we operate in. We deliver workshops, we deliver masterclasses, lots of private members clubs around how we can help people in dating, give them lots of interesting content and things to think about. So that becomes our plan. It's like, how can we find this person for you? And then finally, that we are then putting all this into place by obviously getting them out on dates. And then our final step becomes about dating mindfully with meaning and purpose. And what we mean by that is, fundamentally, we are not a dating service. We are a matchmaking service. This is not about just getting you out on dates. Like, that would be super easy for us, just like ticking things off. We want to get people into relationships. So this piece becomes really important, and actually equipping people with the right information and helping them through those dating stages. I know there are so many happy couples that we have created, and I'm sure this is the same for a lot of matchmakers out there, that would not be together if it weren't for matchmaker intervention quite early on, where they are not giving off the right signals. They walk away from a date and they both think the other person's not into me, but actually the matchmaker speaks to them and they're like, actually, I really like them, but I don't think they're into me. And they've just sort of bounced off each other in the wrong energy. And actually, you do both like each other. So go on that second date, or sometimes a bit of encouragement is needed. And then also reflection. I think reflection is a really big part of being successful in anything, and dating is no different to that. So understanding, well, what drew you to the date in the first place? And now why do you feel the way you feel? So can we replicate that? Can we avoid certain things? So are you being attracted to certain people because you think that that's who you should be with? So it's like what is stereotypically what's expected of me to date, or the kind of person that I should be dating. And that's where obviously the matchmaker is constantly using that feedback and creating this loop to hone in and improve that search and improve the person that we're introducing them to. So that is why over time you will see a lot more successful matches happen further into someone's membership than off day one.
It's a lot of work. That's what I can see. Matchmaking is very laborious. I know it's very rewarding at the end as well, because there are, imagine success case when you have a marriage and a successful relationship. And this is one of the most important parts of our life, right? We're just not built to be alone. That's not part of human psychology. We're built to share. We're built to communicate, to socialize. To to that extent, why do you think so many successful people, successful in business, successful in their personal endeavors like health, they figure out their health problems, and they figure out they need to stay in shape, eat well, they figure out how to grow their career. Why is it that they so often miss the same strategy or the same sort of um, system, if you wish, to find the right partner for them? In other words, why do you think successful people need matchmaking?
So
In
I
a
think it's
well, you have said already pretty much all of it there, but let's say if we were to put it into like the condensed 30-second, why is it that successful people who figure out all of the components of their life almost, they need a matchmaker to figure out that component?
I think to me, it's very clear. I meet lots of very successful people. I'm very privileged to do that. And when I talk to them about other areas in their life that they've had success, it's super easy to understand why they've had success. They've used lots of expertise, they've invested in themselves, they've put time, money, energy into it to shortcut that process a lot of the time. But also, it doesn't, it's not always a quick process. But it's very rare that you will meet someone who has had tons of success in their career, say, and that it's happened by chance. It never has. They've gone to good universities or done good courses. They've studied. They've had coaches, mentors. They've moved country to follow the right job. So it's not a surprise when they are then top of their game in an industry. And then you talk to them and ask them what they're doing dating wise, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm on a couple of apps." I'm like, "Well, that's not You've not replicated that in your career success. You've put loads of thought, energy, money, time, using expertise to get to where you are. So why are you not doing that in your dating life?" And I think that's often where the penny drops then. And part of it is, I think sometimes maybe Disney is to blame, and we think that we should all just, meet our Prince Charming or our princess and go on to the sunset. But actually, when if you're looking for someone incredible, like, you've got to do the same work that you do in other areas of your life where you get to the top. So I think that
That's
that's
the
why.
switch. That's They're
Absolutely.
used to, I imagine, and I imagine because I'm a business owner myself, and I imagine that you are used to hiring experts, seeking professional coaching, mentorship in all the areas, finance, accounting, marketing, you name it, operations. You need expertise, so you either learn yourself or you delegate. So here, I guess it's no different. They need to just switch to that thinking commitment and replace just sort of occasional maybe type of approach to, it's a strategy. It has to be a strategy, just like strategy with all the other areas, and you need experts on your side,
It,
correct?
Exactly. And it just ultimately it does shortcut the process. It takes away a lot of the time that you're having to spend screening people, the swiping through apps or going out and the other thing is, obviously, these people that are successful are normally really busy. They're not sat there with empty diaries. They don't have all this time to go out and go, okay, right, well, I'll go to 3 different events each week to try and meet my future partner. So they're just outsourcing this the same way they outsource other areas in their lives. Now, we can't manufacture a relationship. They've obviously got to be invested in that and they've got to make that happen. But we can certainly help them find the right person and introduce them to that right person.
Perfect. And that's what they're coming, that's what the problem that you're solving. So going back to the main question, the problem solving. So let's talk a little bit, maybe not just a little bit, about technology. So you're running a matchmaking business. You have grown the matchmaking business tremendously over the years. What and this would be useful for other matchmakers, I suppose, as well. So what role is technology playing? What role is SmartMatchApp matchmaking software specifically playing in your growth in your company? Can you give us example of your favorite features and how you use them.
Of course, I think, I mean, I think Smart Match is great. And I think the reality is that a matchmaker can only work as quickly and or as effectively or efficiently as their CRM. Like, I really believe that because a good matchmaker is not just doing things off the top of their head or on a little notebook. They've got to be using strong CRM tools in place. And Smart Match powers absolutely everything for us as matchmakers behind the scenes. It's really at the core of everything we do. So, and I've been here long enough, like, that I remember times before Smart Match, and I do when I'm meeting all these newer matchmakers in the industry, and even in our own business, these matchmakers that have started in the last, 5, 6 years. I'm like, you do not know how lucky you are that we have Smart Match in place. And in fact, I actually messaged in advance of coming on this call with you, Tim. I messaged one of our matchmakers, Joe, who's been in the business. Actually, she's been in the business even longer than I have. She's been here 12 years. So she's like, one of our top experts. And I said to her, like, what are your favorite features? And honestly, like, her message was so long, like I had to like click read more because it's like just going. And it was essentially every single feature in Smart Match was pretty much listed there. Because she just remembers how hard and how much more time consuming and how, it was so much harder to work efficiently before we had that. So Smart Match is great at the advanced search, the saved search features, tracking. I love the reporting feature, and we use that a lot in management. We use that a lot to streamline some of our admin processes. We use Smart Match as well. We have assistants in the business, and you can request different things, and we use the task system and the reporting system to help us do that. So whether that's updating IDs, tasks. So we have assistant support. We have like two, I don't actually know what you call them within the task, like two kind of, we call them like ticketing areas that you can go in and you can like request different assistants to do different things depending on what time zone they're in. The matchmakers love that when you're putting notes in about a match of someone. So like if they've been on a date, you can go in and type the information and it'll appear on both profiles. Like, that doesn't exist on other CRMs that we were using before. The email templates, again, that obviously makes things really easy and quick. And obviously the automations, which is, I can't remember when you guys rolled that out, sometime last year, maybe. Is that
Probably
right?
longer than that, but maybe let's say last year we have kind of got the good feedback, and it took
And then,
off.
yeah, we took off. Yeah, possibly. Actually, maybe you're right. There was a bit more limitations in the beginning, and we use. I think we have 20. I was looking earlier. We have like 24 automations in place. We run 85 triggers a day. This really keeps things efficient, accurate. It allows us to be more scalable as well. So we use it to collect data, not from our clients. Like, our clients are very the people that are paying us our fees. Those people is much more bespoke and with the matchmaker. I mean, we still obviously use Smart Match for them and sending intro links and that kind of thing, but a lot of our data gathering with them tends to be in person or on the phone. But for our database of our we call them open members, our black book of single people, those people, the automations are great. So we send when we first get them in and profile them, I think for the first 28 days, we send a series of different automations. And we have those linked to different platforms too. So, for example, we send an attachment style questionnaire that is linked to Typeform. So they do that questionnaire in Typeform, which has I'm sure you're familiar with it. It's got a nice interface. So they do that. That then gives them different guidance and ideas. That information is then zapped back into Smart Match for us. So it appears straight in the profile. The matchmakers can see it. We do that with understanding their dating values. We do that with understanding what they're doing in their dating life right now. So lots of different things there. And I think that, and I feel that when we've only just started to sort of scratch the surface with this, like, we have loads more of ideas and loads more automations that we want to roll out in the coming months and years, and just constantly using that tech to really allow us to be better matchmakers, because you as I said, the matchmaker can only ever work efficiently and effectively as their CRM, but the data we have is a big part of that, and getting more of that data and finding ways to streamline that is really helpful.
Thank you for sharing this, and I hope everyone will find some amazing inspiration in that for your business. If you're running a matchmaking business, technology is there not to replace you. It's to enhance you. You know, to give you the tools, to remind you when the match is due, to remind you to do a certain task. You know, think of it as a digital employee that works for you.
Yeah.
And with the automations and the AI, which we'll talk in a minute, it's possible that it's 24/7 digital employee, and you're the boss. You can make final decisions, which I'm sure, Mia, you don't outsource matchmaking decisions to the technology, right? You make matchmaking decisions based on your experience, based on your intuition as well, based on the knowledge of the client, um, but the technology helps you not to get behind, right? Not to forget things. Is that accurate?
Exactly. So we're, as a company, we're really driven in learning. We do weekly workshops, for example, with the team, and a lot of what we do is rooted in psychology. So that those a lot of our matchmaking is based on psychological principles. Uh, but you're right, intuition goes a long way. Expertise, different. The matchmakers are very collaborative too. We obviously we're in the office together quite a lot, but also they do different peer group stuff as well, just to make sure that they're really bouncing ideas off each other. Because you're right, like ultimately, it is such a personal thing. You can't take away the human touch that's needed in matchmaking, and it is such a it is such a personal thing, like you said.
Interesting about that. And let's talk a little bit about this big topic everybody's talking about, this AI, right? So if you look at that and you go, well, obviously AI is going to take over in many areas of our life, but also at the same time, I think personally people will be craving more personal experiences, more human experiences, and human touch will become the other extreme, right? So you have the extreme where everything is going to be like AI, automation, what have you, but then also going to be extreme where people will want like the personal touch, the personal experience, the human touch, the other extreme. And those services will be probably expensive or more like unique, personalized. But they will be, I think, always there. Like I cannot imagine a world where everything is automated. I just simply can't. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. What's your take on this in relation to obviously matchmaking business, but generally in life?
No, so I agree with you. I think, I mean, even now, I know this isn't necessarily AI driven, but obviously it's the post pandemic. There's a lot more remote working. There's a lot more just, even if not working, I think people's way of life became more remote in the pandemic, whether that's like online shopping or things like that haven't necessarily returned back to in person. So we see this, especially in London, like live events, like the price of live events has gone up and up and up, and they sell out and sell out. And I think that people are craving that human connection so much more. Um, we spend a lot more time like we're doing now, on Teams, on Zoom, on video phone calls, and they're great. And even those things are great in the dating industry too. But it's not the same. It's just simply not the same as meeting someone in real life. And we are ultimately we're humans, and we are we're used to being in packs, aren't we, and communities, and that's a really a big part of life. I think my guess with the industry and I actually think that what will happen is AI will make online dating better. I think people's profiles will become better. I think people's photos will become better. Their messaging will become better, which in a way is good. But also, I think that then what will happen is the profiles will all seem the same. And whereas at the moment, where AI is not being used as much, some of the profiles are just self-selecting. So you can sort of look at it and go, okay, I'm not vibing with this person. I don't like the language that they use, or I don't, that they've not put any effort into this. So why are they going to put any effort into dating? And actually, I think that it's going to be very easy to not put effort in and have a really good profile. And then you're going to, as the person like using the app, is going to have to then find out how how do I actually assess that this person has put effort in or is ready to put effort into things? Or how do they talk? Like, because if everyone can send really good messages, how will they do that on the phone then? And how are they going to be in real life? So maybe they'll be able to send really good, funny messages using AI, but actually you meet them in real life and they're really dull. So I think that's possibly what will happen, but maybe that will help the dating industry, the online apps, because
Or vice versa, because
or vice versa.
if it's a facade, is it a good word, facade?
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
so AI
It's
is going to be great at building a facade, you saying?
exactly. But I think what then happens, like with anything, is if and hopefully it will make online dating better, because I think that once something is better, that industry becomes bigger, because you still have to remember it's like the dating industry is still so new. Like, it's not that long ago that online apps did not exist. So it's still a relatively new industry. I think then what will happen is, which is what always happens and what's happening now, is you will get a market and you will get different scales of that market, and you will have some people, we will always operate at the top of the market. So you'll have more and more people that enter this marketplace and go, okay, yeah, great, I can see how this works, but actually I want a much more bespoke, tailored, personalized service. And that's where we come in. That's where the majority of matchmakers come in. So I think that,
Well, what's
to me,
the point of having two bots, two avatars match talking to like imagine you have an avatar and I have an avatar and they're talking by themselves. I can imagine this world, right? Trained avatar, so they're talking to each other. But what's the point of it? Because what happens when we meet in person?
exactly. So then it's like, I don't know, is the question, do the avatars become matchmakers? Are they able to tell what someone is like and arrange that meetup in person? I don't know. The other thing is, then you're always going back to what I was saying earlier about the subjectivity and objectivity. You're then also only feeding in certain information. So when you're filling in these profiles on the dating apps, it's asking you questions what you think about yourself in that moment in time, right? So you might describe yourself as a certain way right now, and maybe in 6 months that changes. Or if someone else looked at you objectively, they might say something different. Like, we don't know what we don't know, right? We've all got blind spots.
So I wouldn't bet on AI in terms of matchmaking at the moment. The dear singles, if you're watching this show, your best bet is to hire a professional matchmaker, and make a strategy and solve the problem, just like you solve your other business, challenges. Um, in terms of AI, Mia, we have just released an AI compatibility match assistant. It's going to be rolled out, and you will have an opportunity to play with it. But what it does, in addition to your matching criteria and matching suggestions, it also puts together a score, an AI compatibility score, which is based on not only drop down fields but also open fields like essays. If you have your clients write essays of their ideal match or whatever you want them to write, that could be also used to put a matchmaking score and then complement your introductions or complement your matches. So we would love to hear your feedback on this. Again, this is designed as an assistant to matching, trying to get the most out of the profile as possible for your matchmaker to highlight the areas to pay attention to. Again, it's totally an assistant productivity tool. Would love to hear your thoughts on this once we roll it out. Just
100%. Yeah, definitely. That sounds super exciting. We're always happy to give you our feedback. I know you obviously work very closely with Alexa, who's our ops manager as well, and she'll be all over it. So definitely let me know when we can
new,
give it a
new
whirl.
generation. New generation. You have a great team.
Yes, so we
Uh,
do. Okay.
let, let, let's try to wrap up with a couple of last points. So, if you were a starting matchmaker, what you do? Let's say top do and top not do.
Um, okay, good question. I think if you're starting, you've got to prioritize authenticity. I really believe that. I think you should always start by niching. Ultimately, there is very little that a 25-year-old woman would have in common in terms of what she's looking for and a 55-year-old woman. And even though you could say, well, they're both single female, that's not true. Who you're going to match them with is totally different. So you're much better off. And in fact, that's how we did when I first joined Maclynn. Like, we were only in a certain age range, and like slowly you grow your network, and then you can expand. I think that that's the other thing, is really focus on growing your community. You need your members there to have people to match your clients with. So it's all well and good collaborating, but that is something that sometimes I think that new matchmakers don't do enough of, is like actually thinking, how are you going to build your network, building a
Build your
personal.
own network, build your own database, right?
So I think just, yeah, so definitely just that high touch point, and especially with what we're saying with the AI stuff, like build a personal brand, keep to a niche, just create, like, remember, what you don't want to be doing is just creating introductions and being a dating service, because that is what online dating, I think, will be able to do much better. And ultimately what people will want is your expertise. So like really focus on that. And I think, going back to what we were saying, is like that's been really for us a lot of our success has been the team that we have built. So many of them have degrees in psychology, masters, PhDs, and that's been a big part of building Maclynn, is making sure we've got those experts in place. And I think that is what I would encourage anyone to do. You don't have to have a degree in psychology, obviously, but go out. There's courses that you can do, whether it's matchmaking courses, coaching courses, lots of things that you can read. But yeah, just make sure that you need to know your stuff. You've got to be an expert in the field.
So what is your authentic, unique skills? What is your niche, right? And then
Mhm.
go, like, just focus on those things. Clear, thank you. So I'm sure this is going to be very useful. And what are the top don'ts? Like, absolutely do not do if you're starting a matchmaking business.
I think going back to the authenticity thing is key. So don't lie to your clients. If you're just starting and you have your first client, just be honest with them about that and use it to your advantage. Like, don't be scared to show vulnerability. And people will be much more responsive if you're true and authentic to them, and just say, look, you're my first client, which means you're my only client right now, and I'm going to have so much time to spend on your search, and I want to make this a success. Like, this is everything to me. So I think you just making sure that you don't try and pretend that you've got like this huge team of people, or putting people on your website that are not actually in your team. It's like, just be transparent about things. Like, don't try and create, going back to the facade thing, like don't try and create an illusion of who you are, if that's not you.
I think this is good enough, not to keep this focus, right? Don't pretend something that you're not, or that you cannot do or deliver to your clients. Be authentic, and vulnerable. Interesting, vulnerable. A lot of people think in business, oh, it's not good to be vulnerable. Yeah, well, it depends, as you can see. On that note, Mia, I'm sure that we will have people here watching, either singles or colleagues, matchmakers, and maybe they want to collaborate with you, or maybe want to become your clients. What's the best place to find you, to contact you, and what opportunities do you guys currently have, and that you would like to announce or to present?
Of course. So obviously the best way to contact us through our website is maclynninternational.com, or you can send an email. My email is Mia at maclynninternational.com, or the info email, which is obviously info. Um, in terms of opportunities, we're obviously always looking for ambassadors, partnerships, and clients anywhere in the world, as long as they are open to our locations. If they're obviously looking for a localized search, or looking for more of a global international search, but we will have a call with you, consultation. We can get to know you and see how we can help. We'll always be, going back to the authenticity piece, we'll always be authentic with you. If we don't think we're the best fit, we will be able to point you in the right direction. But have an initial call with us, and we'll see how we can help.
Thank you. So to wrap up, this was an interview with Mia Wealthall. She is the VP operations at the very successful international firm, Maclynn International. And if you would like to reach out to her, all the links to social media, website, and everything is going to be in the description. If you have any questions, please reach out, because the expertise, the knowledge that they have, it will absolutely shortcut you and help you. Whether you're a matchmaker looking for collaboration, whether you're single looking for just for love, for authentic love, and you are busy and just need the level of expertise to help you in this personal journey. This is the opportunity for you. Please use it. Take it in your own hands, and I wish you good luck and success. Mia, you have been generous. I really appreciate every minute of this conversation. I learned a lot myself, and I thank you very much on
Thank
behalf
you.
of everyone.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure to be here.
So wrap up, and I'll see you soon.
Yeah, definitely. Bye for now.